goal getters, welcome back to the channel. So on this channel, we've been encouraging a lot of African diaspora to come back to the country and invest. And we've also come up with businesses that you could actually do in Africa while abroad. A lot of you have shown interest in investing in Africa, but I want to make sure that you don't fall among the 50% of businesses that fail within the first 2 years. So for that reason, I will be giving you 10 things you need to absolutely know before starting any business in Africa. So without wasting much of your time, let's get straight into the video. But before we do that, please do well to like this video already if this is something that catches your interest, and do well to subscribe to the channel. For on here, we do everything business, entrepreneurship, basically everything that brings money to the table. My name is Elvin Jig, and we are starting right now. Now, obviously, the first thing you need to do is research and the market understanding. You know, Africa is a continent with over 50 countries, and each has got its own unique market dynamics that you need to absolutely know before starting any business in any of those countries. So understanding your target market is crucial. Are you planning to start your business in Nigeria, Cameroon, South Africa, Ghana, Uganda? You need to understand that each country has its own demands and consumer behaviors. Spend time studying the competition, the local preferences, and the potential customer base. You need to understand, goal getters, that a thorough market research is the key to the success of any business. Let me take an example. Recently on the channel, I talked about certain shoes that you could wear to safely access the farms in rural areas, for instance. Let's assume you want to start up a business selling those shoes, and you come to an urban area right at the core of the city, let's say maybe in Brazzaville, Yaoundé, Lagos, and such places, and you are selling those shoes to the people there. You don't need a soothsayer to let you know that that business wouldn't work, right? Those are the type of things you should take to the rural areas, like to the village markets or the village community halls or whatsoever. You are going to make a lot of sales, but selling such shoes in an urban area, especially in capital cities, that's not a good bet. Now, talking about an appropriate business for urban areas, let me just take an example. Recently, my first son was turning 8, and I thought of how to make his day memorable. Considering the fact that he loves toys, there's this friend of mine who actually started a gift box business, and she just told me 2 days before his birthday that she has started such a business, and I was like, what a great idea, what a timely information. Matthew, I got this gift for my son, and he was the happiest. He was like, oh mom, you're the best and everything. And this was something that didn't really cost much, but the fact that he loves gifts, it was just a wonderful something for him. And I told her, next time when you've got the gift boxes available, let me know and I'll be getting it for all my kids. This is something that a lot of people in urban areas will love to get for their kids, right? But take the same gift boxes to the rural areas or to villages, I can guarantee you that this is something that won't really sell, because to them it isn't really necessary, or they don't even see the importance of it. That goes the same with the meal kits I talked about earlier on the channel. You can't go to rural areas to start up a meal kit business, but that's something that will do very well in urban areas. Now on to the next point. We are going to be talking about access to finances, because this is one of the things that really puts a lot of people down. A lot of people would love to invest in certain businesses, but they don't really have the necessary funds. But do you know that there are ways to raise funds to start a business? Multiple ways, actually. There's this video I made on this channel talking about how to get funds to start a business, or how to get people to invest in your business. So the video is going to be in the description box. You can check it, or in the comment section you can check and watch it, for it is going to be very helpful. But now, for the sake of this video, I am just going to be highlighting a few things you need to know when it comes to raising funds or getting access to finance to start any business. We all know of traditional banks, right? We've got microfinance institutions that are also another form of getting finances that are almost similar to banks. But there's this question I have for you. Have you heard of angel investors? Yes, this is something real, all right? You might think it's a joke, but it is actually real. We've got angel investors that are picking a lot of interest in African startups, and also a lot of venture capitalists showing a lot of interest in African startups. All I can advise you to do is to explore all your options and come up with a clear business plan that can attract investors to your business. That is, if you want to go for angel investors or attract venture capitalists. The next and one of the most important things is your legal and regulatory framework. I know navigating the legal landscape could be quite tricky, but you need to understand that different countries have got different regulations for business registrations, permits, and licenses. It is very important to comply with local laws in order to avoid any legal entanglement. So what I would advise you to do is to consult with legal experts or business consultants before embarking on any business venture. That said, if you're in need of such services when it comes especially to investing in Cameroon, you can always contact us at africatodayinfo@gmail.com and we will be there for you. That doesn't say we don't offer consultancy to people out of Cameroon, alright? We do that for everyone, but the thing is, if you're in Cameroon, you will be capable of benefiting from a close follow-up of your project by our team. Another very important thing you need to do is master the local culture and practices. You need to understand that business practices vary widely across the continent. Building strong relationships and understanding cultural nuance can actually make a big difference. If you just respect the local customs and traditions of any area you find yourself in, you've got 80% chances of succeeding in whatever business you establish in that area. Neglect this if you are doing something short-term, but mark you go-getter, if you want a long-term something that is going to be implanted there like for good of at least 15-20 years, this is something you should take seriously. For you know, Africans are very respectful when it comes to their traditions and customs. Let me just take an example of what happened in my village. You remember in one of my videos where I talked about the things that the Chinese have actually taken hold of in the African market. I mentioned the traditional wear of the Northwesterners in Cameroon. This is something that the Chinese have actually taken and have banalized it by producing it in their factories and all the like, and not everyone is happy about that. So back in my village, we had a family burial that we wanted to use this material as our event wear, and we faced strict objection from the village heads. They made us understand that those materials produced by foreigners is not allowed to be used in the village. Yes, we were shocked. Yes, we had started preparations and had started buying the material, but we had no other choice than to stop it immediately. So imagine you may be coming to such a locality and you don't know that that's the law, or the people there don't welcome such a material or such a fabric, and you come to sell that in that place. Imagine the cultural shock you are going to be facing, the rejection, the money you would lose, and all the like. So that just goes to say, in Africa, before you start up something, take time to be educated on their customs and traditions, for it is going to go a long way to secure your success in that area. Now, the next thing I am going to be talking about is something that no matter how prepared you are intellectually, this is something that I feel you must do if you want to succeed in business in Africa. And I think it applies to every part of the world, right? This has to do with networking and building relationships. One thing I want you to understand, goal-getter, is the fact that no matter how modernity has infiltrated in Africa, Africans still practice a very communal lifestyle. Who you know can be just as important as what you know. So I would advise you attend local business events, join trade associations, attend local trade fairs, and build a strong network. Always have it at the back of your mind that new relationships can open doors to new opportunities and partnerships. You might have heard this thing that people always say, that in Africa, when you get into a building or wherever for a business transaction, the most important thing is your name. Yes, your name goes a long way to tell people how to treat you, because if your name has anything to do with an influential person, you are highly favored. And if your name doesn't make sense to them, at times who sent you is very important. That is, who referred you to them is very important. I've got a lot of instances where I had favors just because I called a certain name, or I simply gave my own name and I was simply recognized. I remember this period where I lost my phone. This is just one of those instances that comes to mind quickly right now. So I lost my phone and I went to what we call a commissariat. So generally the tracking process is something that could take 2 or more days depending on when the person starts using your phone. And from what people told me, it would generally take a lot of time, and at times you would need to give some money that is illegally, right, before your case is taken seriously. But mark you go getter, when I just gave my ID card and the person saw my name and recognized me, that's how the person just took my file seriously. And immediately a request was sent to the mobile network providers to send details that could be used to track who is using my phone. And honestly, everything happened within 3 days and the thief was caught. This is something I solved within 3 days without spending a dime. And when I told people that that's how it happened, everyone was shocked, because it's something that people complain that they would generally go there for months and months, and at times their file isn't even attended to and they finally have to give up. This is just to give you an idea of how Africa functions. The next thing you need to take seriously, goal getter, is technology and innovation. All I would say is embrace technology as much as possible in order to stay ahead of the competition, because believe me or not, the competition is high nowadays. A lot of people are getting into businesses, and most times the same businesses keep popping up, so the competition is high. Talking about the same businesses, this is something I have been trying to solve with my videos on the channel. If you're an oldie, you know already that I've come up with a lot of new business ideas that you could start and make a difference in Africa. But then, if you are new to the channel, do well to go to our playlist and search there. You are going to find a playlist of new business ideas that you could start in Africa and make a lot of money for yourself. Now, back to what I was saying. So if you didn't know, Africa is experiencing a tech revolution with many innovative solutions emerging from the continent. Now, if you are smart, you should know already that leveraging technology can streamline your operations and expand your reach. Let's just take, for instance, this business I talked about in one of my previous videos, the fish pond in a sea. That is, you create your own fish pond within a sea. This is quite a brilliant idea that someone came up with, and a lot of people are falling on it right now. There's also this edible teacup that people are going crazy over nowadays, so you don't need to stress and search for where to throw your disposable coffee cup or your mug, whatever. You just consume your coffee cup alongside your coffee. So these are examples of some business innovations that people came up with and that are doing so great. So you just need to be very creative in the way you are targeting your business. For as you know, there's nothing new under the sun. What people do is keep innovating as the time goes by. Now, the next thing I would love you to know before starting a business in Africa is the infrastructure and logistic part of your business. Take note of the fact that infrastructure could be quite challenging in some regions. Getting a suitable structure for your business is not always something easy, especially if your funds are limited. Getting the right structure for your business is not always easy, for there are some areas that business could do well only by the roadside. Because in as much as a lot of businesses are done online nowadays, in Africa there are still a lot of people who would love to come and see their products for themselves, touch and feel them before buying. So there are certain businesses that if you don't get a shop or a structure by the roadside, you are doomed to fail. Now, talking about the logistics, you need to consider how you are going to be getting your products to the market. Let's say your business is in rural areas, for instance, you've got a farm or a plantation. Take necessary measures on how you are going to be transporting your products products to the urban areas, because if you don't know, generally most farm to market roads are very, very bad. So there's this video where I talked about something you could do to actually access rural areas easily if you've got businesses there. So if you're interested, watch this video where I talked about the tire chain that you could put on your truck tires to help it get a firm grip on those roads, and other interesting products I talked about in that video. So are you importing things from other countries? If that's your own case in your business, partnering with the right logistic companies and understanding the local infrastructure will go a long way to help you navigate this aspect perfectly. Next on, let's talk about access to skilled workforce, which is one of the most important things to take care of. One fact about Africa is that finding and retaining skilled employees can be tough but very crucial. I know how challenging it could be for a lot of workers in Africa. Don't really care, right? Especially with the monthly salary system we've adopted. A lot of workers know that no matter what they do, they will still get their pay at the end of the month. And talking about this, it brings to mind an experience I recently had at a bank. I am not going to be calling the name here, for it isn't necessary, but this is something that I have noticed in most banks in Cameroon. So I went to this bank. I was actually with my hubby. So we went to this bank for a transaction and we had to see a manager, or what we call a gestionnaire, in Cameroon. Now, when we entered this office, there was this lady who was on the phone. And generally, for a good customer service, no matter what you are discussing on the phone, especially given the fact that she was discussing with a friend, was it a friend or a family member, and she was very poised and maintained exactly what she was doing for a very long period of time. With no exaggeration, that lady spent over 20 minutes on the phone right in front of us without caring to know why we were there or what she can do for us, or to even just ask us to get a seat. We literally had to get seats ourselves and wait for her to finish her phone call before attending to us. And to crown it all, once she was done, there were no apologies, nothing. Everything went on as if nothing wrong had happened. That's just one of the instances. That is just the recent one I experienced a few days ago, just to give you an idea of how bad customer service could be. And we know all that she does that because she knows that no matter how she behaves, at the end of the month, she is going to be cashing out her check. So if this is something you've been battling with or something you want to avoid, do well to watch this video of mine where I detailedly talked about most of these problems and how you can go about them. I can guarantee you that that video is so rich that you don't want to miss it. If you are planning to invest in Africa, or even if you've invested already, that video will go a long way to help. So that said, it is crystal clear that there is a need of trained personnel in Africa, which is something I addressed in one of my videos as well. So what you can do on your part before starting your business is to invest in training and development programs to build a competent team. Now, let's talk about social and environmental responsibility. Now, you need to understand, goal getters, that today's customers really value businesses that are socially and environmentally responsible. You need to understand that engaging in community projects and sustainable practices not only enhances your brand's image, but also contributes to the community welfare as a whole. Now, when we talk of businesses that go a long way to impact your community, we are talking of things like studying your community and seeing what business will really bring value to the people. For instance, if there is a lack or shortage of schools, if you bring a school that is going to meet the need, it is going to help the community. If there is poor water or lack of water, if you bring a system that is going to bring water to the community, you are helping the community. Let's take, for instance, a borehole system. If you've got a community where people suffer with dirty or infected water, you could set up a borehole system there and bring clean, fresh water for the community. These are the type of businesses that you could provide your community with that is going to offer them a lot of value and at the same time bring in a lot of money into your pocket. And when it comes to your workers, what I would advise you to do is to avoid being too friendly with your workers or your staff. This is something I learned the hard way, all right? I noticed that once you start being too friendly with your workers, at a certain point, they don't know how to draw the line anymore. I am not asking you to terrorize your workers. No, far from that. I am just saying that in as much as you want to be friendly with them or make them feel comfortable, make sure to create a balance, because once you start being too friendly with them, at a certain point, they might see you as an equal, and that's where disrespect sets in, a lot of relaxation sets in, and therefore harming the business. Thanks for watching this video, and until next time, keep dreaming and rush to invest in Africa, as I'll see you on my next one.